in the building with co-host Stay Hot Time.
And we're back again with another episode, week 3, Profit!
That was electric, Tyler.
All right, Dan. I want to talk to you about something.
Yeah, what do you got?
Love.
Oh, love, yeah. Okay.
There's a lot to love. I love my picks. I love your picks. And I love love.
You love a lot of things.
Yep, I do. I want to give a special shout out to someone, a guy that I love.
Who do you love?
He goes by the name of BJ.
Oh.
Love this guy. Longtime listener of the pod, day one listener. Tails every pick we got.
He does. And he parlays them.
Parlays them.
Long parlays.
He loves parlays. I love him.
Talk about love.
He just got married this past weekend. He's enjoying his honeymoon this week. Shout out to him. Shout out to his wife. Shout out to a happy life.
Yep. A happy life. Alyssa, BJ, congrats on the wedding. The wedding was a blast. We might even upload some of they had this really cool selfie booth or like thing, ring, like one of those rings. We were, just destroyed. We had to take 1,000 pictures that night.
Yeah.
Just running into that thing.
Good for us. Yeah. We just kept stumbling upon the picture.
Yeah.
The picture machine.
What do we do? Let's go take some pictures at this ring thing.
Yeah. That thing looks nice.
Yeah. We looked really good too. The boys cleaned up well.
Yeah. So shout out to BJ. Love you, man.
The
love.
Yeah. The Valenzas.
So smooth transition now. Bears Packers.
Don't love.
BJ loves the Packers. I love the Packers.
I don't love the Packers. Listeners, I know you're listening. You heard our bet last week. Yes, today I have to sing in a Brett Favre jersey.
Yeah, you'll pay up. I don't know when we're going to drop it in here. We're going to surprise ourselves and the listeners, but you'll pay up. And, you guys suck.
Yeah, we didn't look good. Nothing looked good on the offense. The run game, actually, I was happy with. But to be honest, I don't think, I don't want, to build this team up to the point where we're a successful team, we can't just be running the ball. We need to be calling pass plays, and we did. I saw a stat, Justin Fields only had 11 attempts or whatever, but we also dropped back to pass, more than double that. So, what happened on those plays where we literally didn't even throw the ball?
Yeah, it was poor performance. The Packers didn't look overly sharp. The thing I liked when I was looking at the box score, I guess, after the game was the target share amongst all the receivers is split up pretty evenly, and that's what I want to see going into the season since we don't have the wide receiver one anymore, and I think Rodgers can be good spreading the ball around. Just straight up, I knew I was right that you guys didn't play a real football game week 1, and a win's a win. You won in the NFL, I suppose. So 1-1, just like, Green Bay, we're tied in the standings. But yeah, you get to hang your hat on the fact that going into the season, I suppose you have a rebuild going. The roster isn't there. The money spent isn't there. Not huge expectations, but are you beginning to question your guy?
Not yet. No, not beginning to question the guy. Something needs to start clicking though. There were some times where there were open guys, and he didn't pull the trigger, and it wasn't because he was under pressure. It had nothing to do with the O-line. There were times where there were guys open, and he didn't hit his guy. It's just something isn't clicking in the pass game. I couldn't tell you. Even Justin Fields after the game, they said, "What's not clicking in the pass game?" He's like, "I don't know. We still need to go back to the film and figure it out." What I love about Fields is his confidence. He is a really confident dude, and what in terms of am I worried about the guy? I want to see this type of growth from him in the second year. It's still early. I want to just see him learn from his mistakes. In the second year, he's still so young. We're still such a low level roster that if the only way we can become a good team, you look at every good team in the NFL, they have a good quarterback. They have a pretty darn good quarterback. So he just needs to keep getting better. I don't expect him to just take this leap that is all of a sudden he's going to be like an MVP candidate. But with his talent level, it'd be sick if we could get him some weapons. But I don't know. It just something needs to start clicking at some point. It obviously wasn't clicking on Sunday for us.
Yeah, and I think an awesome takeaway for you as a fan is the fact that he doesn't respect you. And that has to feel good because you defend him every week, and he just loves to just say, I mean, that you guys, you don't know, you don't put in any work. You have no tie to this team. You don't care at all. You don't put any holes in coffee tables. You don't get emotional.
Sorry,
you don't do any of these things. So as a fan, we don't even really need to touch on him too much more because
I do have comments about that.
You don't care, and he knows that.
I have comments about the presser because obviously the presser just went viral. Like everyone just blah, 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 blah. Including you, Ty. So here's my official statement for the pod on Justin Fields' presser. For those who don't know, someone asked him like basically how it feels, like how the loss feels for the fans or something like that. And he basically responded saying like, the fans aren't inputting work like we are. Like we're grinding day in and day out for this. Like we want it. And so here is what I think of it. Everyone's overreacting. You got to read through the lines a little bit here. He was A, pissed off for the game because he just lost. B, you got to read through the lines a little bit and understand what he truly was saying is like, no one is working harder than us for these games. Like we're putting in hours and hours of work, and like, nobody is more pissed than we are. Like we wanted to win that game more than anybody. And he was just trying to emphasize that. And it came off like the fans aren't like anything special. Like we're above the fans. Like, and
came off horribly.
He wants it back. Don't get me wrong. Like I know he wants it back and I wish he had it back, but I know what he was trying to say and I have no problem with it.
Yeah. Well, good for you. You stand by him yet again when he refuses to stand by you. So I'm proud of that for you.
Yep, thank you.
I think that's enough on that. I can't wait to hear the final product of your song. Yeah. And I think we can just recap maybe some week 2 records. So myself, I went 3-3 last week, 2-1 on my locks. That brings me to 8-4 overall, 5-1 on locks.
Yep.
Not too bad. Pleased with the start to the season, 8-4. I can't complain about that. Obviously, I'm going to make excuses now for what didn't go my way last week. One of my losses, the teaser, that was going my way pretty easily, actually. Jacksonville, a part of that teaser, murdered the Colts. And then the other leg was the Saints, who were tied in a 3-3 ball game, essentially 75% of this game.
Yeah.
And then the fight happens. Marshawn Lattimore gets kicked out of that game. He's far more important to his team than Mike Evans is to Tampa. The game completely changed after that, and that teaser ends up losing for me. So not happy about that. And the other pick that I want to complain about is the over in the Bengals-Cowboys game was my pick. And I believe I had said to you, it doesn't matter what this is because the Bengals are going to put up all the points it needs to cover the over. Not even close to the truth. We'll get into it a little later, but there needs to be some panic there in Cincinnati. And the Cowboys, I mean, they won the game outright and they put up way more points for me. So those are the excuses I'm making. I don't. What was my Mortis? You talk about your picks and I'll try and make the excuse for the Mortis.
Yeah, figure out your excuse. For the Mortis this past week, I don't know if so for the followers, the Mortis was McCole Hardman over 35.5 receiving yards. That game was on Thursday night. So I understand this podcast didn't officially get published until later, and I had forgotten about the scheduling, and so that's my fault. So what I did is I tweeted a new Mortis on Sunday. By the way, the McCole Hardman pick did hit, so we're counting it because I called it.
Correct.
Obviously, I took.
Credit to you.
Credit to me. Money was in my pockets, but I'm like, okay, the listeners didn't get it. So Sunday, here's a new Mortis. And that was Rashad Bateman over 45.5, I believe was the line. And he ended up with over 100 yards. So he went double. Again, folks, proof that the Mortis it puts so much food on the table for these listeners across the country. 3-0 on Mortises. Just start the year. Will one eventually lose? Probably not. If it does, it'll be probably because of some like wizardry that the NFL and Goodell probably was up to something. But
Yep.
The 3-0, the Mortis is so money. I love it.
We said in week 1, if you're going to take any pick from this pod, you're taking Thans Mortis, 5-1, I believe, going in.
Yep.
And now 3-0 on the season, up to 8-1 Mortis lifetime, and it's going to continue to hit. So make sure you're playing that one.
Yep.
I'd like to hear about it a little more. People taking these. I have heard whispers. I heard complaints that they couldn't play your Thursday night one.
Yeah,
So what do? You tweet out another one for the people. But
Yep.
I didn't hear a single person saying, "Thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
Thanks, Profits, for giving me another winner."
Yeah, and I don't necessarily expect all these thanks. I just hope that if one loses, I don't get the hate. It needs to stay level. If you want the Mortises, stay active on Twitter. The Big Superior 8 is my account that I'm going to be tweeting these locks from, and you'll be getting them. So if you're not able to tune into like a podcast for whatever reason, you're busy that day, just go ahead and check the Twitter. I might have a tweet out with my locks. Just to stay updated. Other than that, I think the combo, and one of them was McCaffrey over 55.5 rushing yards, I believe, which I know he hit.
So you're better than this record indicates.
Yeah. So the record we're looking at on the screen. So I'm actually overall I'm 4-3, and I'm 3-0 on Mortises. So over 50%. I'm loving that.
You're 4-3 overall, 3-0. The Mike Evans one was your deadbolt didn't hit because the man got tossed.
Yes.
And so really we're gonna put an asterisk by that. Let's just call you 2-0 with an asterisk.
Yeah. When did he get tossed?
Mid third quarter, I believe.
Okay.
Plenty of time to get that.
And I think he had like a decent amount there. For listeners, I was actually at the LIV golf tournament on Sunday with my brother. Shout out Nicholas and Tommy and Jack. That was fun. So I wasn't able to see the noon games, and I did end up seeing just the ends of the 3:00 games on my ride back. And then obviously the Bears-Packer game. We don't need to talk anymore about that.
Yeah, so good week for the pod. We continue to win. I push at 3-3, but you're looking at the record overall, and Than brings us home going 3-1 with 2-0 on some more Mortises. So we continue to be the most profitable football podcast in the world. No one does it better than us. If they do, I want to see receipts, but just fact checked it actually, and no one does. So I just thought of my excuse for my Mortis not hitting. It was Javonte Williams over 11.5 longest reception.
Yeah.
And so let's pivot this excuse to one of the teams I wanted to talk about. Overreaction, underreaction, where are you at with the Broncos? Because pathetic, honestly, to lose week 1 to the Seahawks. We heard about that last week on the pod, obviously. And then 16-9 victory over the Texans.
Yep. I think of a few things when I think of the Broncos right now. Obviously, we talked about it on this podcast. Nathaniel Hackett has been abysmal as a manager, game manager. Don't love what he's doing. But I also am starting to think Russell Wilson's a little crazy. Did you hear him going?
Run!
Yeah.
Pass.
Come on, sideline. We gotta yell it. He's
96. What was that? 96.
Yeah.
Pass.
And there's like NFL players. So at one point, I'm like, okay, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe in the NFL, like that's something that they want to do. But there are ex-NFL players tweeting back like, is this a joke?
Biggest cornball in the NFL. I have receipts to prove that I've been saying this early. I've been saying it often. This guy's a loser. I don't.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Loser. I
Loser.
mean, he has won some stuff in the NFL.
Yeah.
By definition, not necessarily a loser, but just a weenie in a way that I don't think the guys in Denver are really responding to him. Also not responding to Hackett. I think that locker room needs to figure it out. The talent on that roster is real.
Yeah.
I think I'm not going to write them out yet because there's been 2 games. I think they could push with the roster they have. They need to figure out the emotions of that team. They're not connecting, though.
Yeah, it's 100% on Russell Wilson at this point. Obviously you can say Hackett too, but Hackett's not out there throwing the ball and making stuff happen to put up 16 points against the Texans and then to lose. Pretty embarrassing game against the Seahawks. Obviously a horrible start for him, a guy who just got paid big time.
Yep.
So I'm actually overreacting on them being bad, and that just coming purely from hate for Russell Wilson.
Yeah, that's fine. They are bad.
Yeah, and then Another team, we'll talk about another bad team, the Bengals that I brought up earlier. Where are you sitting with them?
I'm higher on them than the Broncos.
Okay.
Because of Joe, like that pass game there's nothing that's missing. Like they're not connecting, but they're okay. Like I think last year the Bengals started off slow. We didn't know that they were a Super Bowl contender at that point. But like early in the season last year, the Bears beat the Bengals last year early in the season. Like I think maybe they're just a slow starting team. That Joe Burrow times T. Higgins times Jamar Chase times Tyler Boyd, like that threesome, that foursome that they have there, one of the best passing attacks in the NFL. I'm not ready to really write them off. It's just a little embarrassing, I think. Like Joe Burrow, you just had such a huge year last year. Like, where's the step up?
I think the thing that's really easy to point at, and I think it probably is the factor, is the offensive line again, which is crazy because that graphic, I was watching the game week 1 and then again week 2. They love putting the graphic last year's starting offensive line, and then they shift up all the pictures and show what's there now. I know they brought in guy, I think La'el Collins, and he tweeted when he got there or something, or had some quote saying, Joe, you got a bodyguard now or something. They're just as bad, if not worse, and a lot more is invested into them. So it's 100% on them in my mind, because I don't think Burrow's bad. I mean, I've been watching these games because I've had them as picks. It's honestly tough because he's good and he has weapons. It'd be fun to watch him get to actually do something about it. Now, he legit has no time. It's kind of cool to watch Joe Burrow too, because, in the NFL, I think a lot of guys are like this. So it's maybe not in particular to him, but he gets hit more than a lot of other people. He just gets right up and just runs off the field, grabs a tablet, looks at what he can do better. I haven't seen him. You see Tom Brady, no debating he's the greatest of all time. He goes over there and throws his tablet around and is like all pissed off or like starting fights and all this shit. Like Joe Burrow will talk his shit. I'm sure he will this season. He might have times where, he shows some anger, but he's calm, cool, and collected. And I think he's going to turn around. I agree with you that I'm higher on them than the Broncos.
Yeah. And Joe Mixon is another weapon I should have mentioned because he's a stud.
Yeah. Their team is very good. It's completely on the offensive line. And then the last team I wanted to talk about, opposite end, the Dolphins. Crazy comeback. They have weapons as well. I mean, 2 serious weapons. They're super fun to watch. I guess, how are you feeling about them? And Tua, I mean, that's the question.
Yeah. The Dolphins could be good. They have all the pieces besides a little bit of a question mark at QB. Like, I'm not going to say like Tua has arrived because one game will never do that. That being said, this team has a lot to it. The defense is good. Waddle is a stud. Like, I know he's not the name that Tyreek Hill is, but this dude Waddle is a stud, and Tyreek Hill is one of the best in the NFL. Those two alone, like that passing attack, proved to be just filthy last week. And I watched the YouTube highlights, just where they clip like every play and then you just watch straight through. Those dudes are just dominant. Like, it seems like Tua just drops back and is like, all right, let me just pick which one of them to go to, and then if it's not there, just throw it to Gesicki and let him do the gritty.
Yeah, that was
hilarious.
What's so crazy to me is that these dudes can beat you deep, and you're playing with the lead as the Ravens in week 2. Just don't let them get over the top. And Tyreek did it to him 2 times in a row. So I'm really curious to see this next week. I think McDaniels is proving to be pretty dynamic in his, I guess, offensive play calling. Yeah. He clearly has the weapons, but the coordinators are planning defensively coming into the game. We can't get beat deep. And whatever he's doing with his playbook, whatever he has working, they just continue to beat defenses deep. Obviously, a huge game this week. For me personally, having the Dolphins as one of my plays to win the division as a long shot, I got something on that. So if they can pull this one out, it's a home game. I'd love to see him get this one, because going into Buffalo and winning later could be a problem. But been super fun to watch, and those weapons are crazy.
Yep, you were right about your about your future call too.
Yeah, all you want is a shot on something like that. I think it was like plus 430 or something. So you just want a shot, but it'll come into Tua's hands. I'm sure there'll be a point this season where it's like, all right, there's a minute and a half left in this game. Tua needs to go down and get you a touchdown.
Yeah.
But that kind of happened in week 2. They were down like 14 or something, and Tua needed to go make crazy things happen. He could do it. So,
Yep.
Those were the teams I kind of want to touch on. Did you have any week 2 thoughts? Maybe if you don't, I'll lead you towards Kyle Pitts.
Okay. Yeah, we can talk about that. I did have one other. So we'll talk about Kyle Pitts quick.
Crab Ragoon.
Yeah, Crab Ragoon. Kyle Pitts is officially he's on my no bet list. Don't ever do it again. Because it's just proving that the system is such a big part of football.
Does he have, I think, 7 targets combined in 2 weeks, or it's a number pretty low like that?
It's like him and Darnell Mooney are both just garbage so far. I mean, honestly, both him and Mooney, a lot of it's just like scheme stuff. Like they just haven't been getting targeted. Even Pitts has been targeted a little more than Mooney. It's just Drake London had a great game last week. I was following it on my phone. I'm like, Drake London, another reception. Drake London, another reception. I'm like, dude, can we throw it to Pitts? And it just wasn't happening. So yeah, he sucks. I'm done with him. Let's move on to actually the Jets. I want to talk about the Jets and Joe Flacco.
Okay.
This passing attack kind of has a little something to it.
Yeah, it really does. It's shocking.
Garrett Wilson, I have him in one of my fantasy leagues. I'm starting him this week. The man he had double-digit targets. He had like 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, this dude is good. They have Elijah Moore, he's a pretty athletic dude over there. And Joe Flacco is probably better than Zach Wilson. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
Because he's just more experienced. Like, it was evident when watching those highlights, like Flacco, when he had time, obviously, he could just pick apart a defense. And I know the whole Joe Flacco is elite thing was a train the other year. Not going to be what I'm saying. I'm just excited to watch the Jets have a little bit of something. And obviously with a guy on my fantasy team, I'm excited for that too.
Yeah, they are an interesting line this week to me against a team that has to do something in the Bengals. That'll be an interesting game because the Bengals clearly need a win, and they're playing against a team that historically is horrible, but they're showing flashes that they can do something on offense. So
that could be a good one.
The other piece of the Jets is the rushing attack. Breece Hall looked good, and Michael Carter is still a solid back. So that they do have, again, we're talking weapons. I mean, they have weapons for sure. So
it's exciting.
Yeah, we I guess are going to get into the listener's favorite segment. And by that, I mean, I'm getting my phone blown up about this segment. So why don't where is it?
Blindside.
All right.
All right, Ty, I got the blind side for you this week. So my question to you, it's going to be 3-parted, actually. You're about to get blindsided. Ty, in baseball, sometimes pitchers lose their fastball. They just lose the juice in their arm. I want you to name me one player in the NFL who you believe has lost their fastball, one player in the NBA who has lost their fastball, and then a player in the MLB who has lost their fastball. So to expand a little further, just somebody who used to be pretty solid and is just kind of going downhill with either age or whatever reason, and they just don't have it anymore. Like you're kind of out on them.
All right.
Start with whatever sport you want.
All right. Well, this one's popping in my head. I hope he finds his fastball again. No, I'm not going to say him. I'm not.
Josh Hader.
No, that's not what I was going to say.
Oh.
I was going to say Yelich, but then I was about to argue with myself that he's still good because I convinced myself he's still really good. So
He's lost his fastball.
yeah, nope. All right. No idea if this is true. Aaron Donald has lost his fastball.
Wow.
Yep, he
the
sucks.
best player.
Not the best player in the NFL. I'm sick of hearing this. I'm so sick and tired.
Okay.
Aaron Donald is the best player in the NFL, not close. Number 1 defensive player, not close. No, it is close. If the guy can stay on the field, TJ Watt is the best defensive player. Why is this true? They went against the Bengals team in week 1, who I get as a bad offensive line. He himself got a couple sacks and made everyone around him get after the quarterback. Week 2, the Steelers couldn't do anything defensively. TJ Watt is a better defensive player. What the Rams are giving up points on points on points, and they're supposed to be so stacked with They got Aaron Donald up front. They got Bobby Wagner. They got Jalen Ramsey. Oh, this team's so good. No,
Yep.
Aaron Donald's lost his fastball.
I like that take. Good for you. Good for you for going against the grain of like the whole football community. Like they're always riding this dude. Like he's the best defensive player ever. He obviously has a case for some of those things. But if we're talking about losing fastballs, like what has he done this year? I've watched that first game they were on Thursday Night Football, right? And I don't believe he was that active in that game. And he's always just getting in fights. Like does he want to be viewed as like some crazy hothead, or is he just actually a hothead?
He has temper issues. For real.
And then like just banging dudes' helmets in training camp. He should have been suspended for that. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Like you just can't be doing that. Good take on losing his fastball. That's fine. I like it.
NBA losing their fastball. You might say he's already lost his fastball, but I think a lot of people, especially in sports media, still think this guy's like a game changer, an elite. Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, okay.
He pops in my head because he recently had a quote. It was a good thing that they got swept this year.
Talking about
You're a loser.
Talking about the Nets?
Yeah. It was a good thing for our team that we got swept by the Celtics because now we can really reset and really think about things. Yeah, you have a lot to think about because your best player on your team wanted to get traded and then realized that he's not worth what everyone thinks he's worth. He's still a phenomenal player, but he has way too much on his contract yet, so that trade can't get done. So you have a guy there who doesn't want to be there. In Kevin Durant, you have another guy who doesn't want to be there in Kyrie because he comes up with any excuse in the world to not play. And then you have a coach and GM that want to be there, but then the guys who don't want to be there don't want them there. Don't believe in the Nets. Kyrie Irving's lost his fastball. He doesn't change the game at all. Attack him when he's on defense. When he's on offense, what guys can get 25 to 30 like that. Yeah. That's so insignificant to me. If like a guy gets points now, that really doesn't mean anything. It's what you do for your team to bring everyone else around you up. It's what you can do defensively. It's all that kind of stuff. Kyrie Irving has lost his fastball.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't know if you saw the list that came out. ESPN did a top 100 list of the NBA players. He was 33. Which is definitely I expected ESPN to kind of just like love him still.
Yeah.
And so I was like a little proud of ESPN going a little bit against the grain. Because people still, you talk to people in the street, they're like Kyrie Irving's the most talented player of all time. Like best handles, and it's not like he's not, but he has so much other baggage that it makes him an even worse player. He's a terrible teammate. He doesn't even want to play. Like, yeah, I like the pick on. Like physically, like ability wise, I don't know if he's necessarily lost his fastball, but everything else outside of his abilities, he's kind of lost it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like him. He's dead to me. Another one that's dead to me. Baseball is actually hard because there's no team that I like that I follow more than the Brewers. So I follow them more than the Bucks and the Packers.
Yeah.
But there's no league that I know less about than the MLB. Like I know way more about the NBA, know way more about the NFL. So it's hard for me to say around the league. I can tell you guys that have fallen off in my mind, but they've probably lost their fastball for a while now. So I guess I'll just stick with Yelich because I think that's a good one for me to just speak on. He's been injured for sure, but the power is just crazy to me. In Colorado, obviously the ball goes farther, but he launched a 499-foot home run, which was the longest in the major this year. Got broke like a week later, but that was over 100 games into the season. So he clearly still has power. He doesn't have home run numbers that I'd like to see. And I think that's really my biggest gripe with him is that the ball isn't going over the fence. He still gets on base a crazy amount, still takes walks. Still is a threat to hit the ball, but he's hitting around 260, been hovering there for a while. He got lower than that, got a little higher than that, but 260 is pretty much where he's at. I'd like to see him back. If you aren't hitting the home run ball, I still want you 290 plus. Defensively, he's great at tracking the ball. He has one of the worst arms in the outfield. That kind of sucks to watch, and people just tag up on him all the time. But yeah, Christian Yelich, sure, he's lost his fastball, I suppose. But he's the only person that has lost their fastball that's going to get it back that I've been talking about.
Okay.
Did you have people in mind when you blindsided me about this?
Yeah, I didn't make an official list. football wise, it's a guy that we talked about earlier. So far this year, this guy has actually lost his fastball. It's Kyler Murray. I've been watching him very hard because I have him as my quarterback in a fantasy league, and then I have Marquise Brown. And I'm watching this dude because I expect a lot out of him. He is a legit, he has potentially like MVP candidate type stuff. Like he has every tool in the bag, and he just nothing's clicking. It's like he's not even motivated. Like it's like he's thinking about his esports. Like it's really pissing me off. Like I don't like having Kyler Murray as my fantasy quarterback, and Marquise Brown is kind of getting screwed because of that. So if there's like a guy that I'm like, this guy just doesn't have it so far this year. I know, like we talked about Joe Burrow and Russell Wilson kind of struggling, but a guy whom people maybe aren't talking about that I think is not looking very good is Kyler Murray. He's pissing me off. Losing his fastball, I wouldn't say he's necessarily lost it quite yet, but if he's trending in this the way he's trending right now, I feel like he's losing his fastball. Yeah.
Yeah, he just scampers around like all I see out of this guy. He had a crazy comeback this week. Scampered in for a 2-point conversion, scampered in for a touchdown, scampered in for another 2-point conversion. So he's extending the pocket, but as a actual quarterback, sure. I was never really that high on Kyler or Arizona. I remember last year they were a team a lot of people were picking. And it's not like they're bad, but for whatever reason, he's a guy that I never really got behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the running game is always going to be there for him until he gets older. And congrats, he won a game in the clutch against the Falcons. Like the Falcons are terrible, so that shouldn't even been a game, you know.
Raiders.
I thought they're Raiders. Maybe we can click that out.
Producer Matt dropped that.
Actually, the Raiders are a decent team, so never mind.
0-2 Raiders against another 0-2 team that was supposed to be good. So there, how's that sound for you?
That's a good little storyline. Yeah, I'm still betting on him to hopefully figure it out. He has lost his fastball so far. Basketball and baseball, I didn't think about. I was just more thinking about what you might say.
Yeah, I wish I could have given someone else for baseball, to be honest, because I don't want to go against Yelich. But I'm pretty down on the Brewers, even though I think today they got another game back. Oh, Raiders play the Titans, both 0-2. So Titans have looked like actually pretty bad, though. So.
I actually might take Raiders in that. Not an official pick.
Not an official pick, off the record picking Raiders.
Yep.
Now let's get into some picks.
Yeah.
Let's make you all some money. So, a lot of lines similar to week 1 this week. So, week 1, not many spreads greater than like 7 points. This week is the exact same. Last week we had a lot of longer lines.
Yeah.
So it was interesting for me to sit down because one of my wins last week, which was actually pretty easy, was 49ers -10 against the Seahawks. I was kind of hoping another one like that would pop where it's like, why is it that high?
Yeah.
But I don't have any point spreads. I rather have over and under as my 2 picks. I'm going with a game we've talked about, Bills at Dolphins, over 52.5. This is going to be public. The money is going to be on the over. This is absolutely a sucker pick. It's just crazy how explosive these offenses are. The only way this over doesn't hit, in my opinion, is Tua throws picks in the red zone.
Yeah. Yeah, it has to be in the red zone too.
Because each of these teams can go over the top. I'm hoping Gabe Davis is back. Adds another element for Buffalo. Stephon Diggs is going to get his probably crazy numbers. We've talked about what the Dolphins are. Over 52.5. The part I guess I don't really like about that is I think it's going to be pretty public, but I think that's the noon game to watch this week. And then my other one is Falcons at Seahawks under 42. We saw in week 1, these fans, obviously, everyone talks about the 12s. They get up every week, but week 1 was extra get up game with Russ coming to town. I'm hoping they bring it again. The Falcons coming to town. I'm hoping that it's a defensive game for Seattle, and they can't really do much. I mean,
yeah, just like we talked about last week. Remember when we were like, wow, every time there's a line like excessively in one direction, and you're like, Because like that 42 line, you're like, wow, that's really low. Like, take the over. It's almost like you always take just the opposite side of that. You're like, well, if it's low, just take the under,
Yeah, I'm hoping for obviously an ugly game played here, and I think it can happen.
Crab Rangoon's going to make that ugly. You know that.
Yep. Yeah, maybe I'll have my eye on Kyle Pitts, see if he does anything for you.
Yeah, you can scout him for me.
And then we have the Stay Hot teaser. Again, this is a system play. This one is, I invented it. I ran all the numbers. It hits at nearly a 70% clip historically all time.
Nice.
And so the teaser this week, again, divisional games, playing at noon. We're adding points to the underdog. Dolphins plus 12 against the best looking team in the league, the Buffalo Bills.
Wow, plus 12.
And the Washington football team plus 12.5 against the Eagles, who are the best looking team in the NFC. Yeah. So these are kind of put your balls out there picks, because these teams have been blowing other teams out. We're talking Bills and Eagles, but why not? It fits the system. We hit at a high clip. Those are the three picks I'm making.
I like those.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, I like those. The Eagles are a good football team, but also, can every team play as great as the Eagles have been playing every game? No. Washington football, Carson Wentz got them a little excited, and Tua's got Miami a little excited. So I like it. Let's go underdog teaser.
Yeah, Carson Wentz, fantasy-wise, has been pretty phenomenal, honestly. Yeah. Now let's get into the locks. This is what you came for, everyone. And, Than, I'm going to let you start with your combination lock.
Yep, combination lock this week.
This one hit last week, I believe.
Yep, this one hit last week, and I intend for it to hit again. Line is out for Ezekiel Elliott. Rushing yards. It's at 47.5, and we are taking the over. Cooper Rush had a great week last week. This week, they're going to ride Zeke just a little bit more. Let's get him involved. A lot of touches, 47.5, not that high of a line. You like to think if he can even get 12 to 15 touches, this is a line that he can hit. Just get one run that's 15. Get one run that's 15, and I think at that point, the rest, he doesn't even need to have that good of a game, and he'll hit that. So Zeke Elliott over 47.5 rushing yards. That is my combination lock.
I like the pick. Zeke's an interesting one that we've mentioned on the pod before.
Yeah, and I've actually said I don't even like Zeke as a player that much. I think you talk about losing a fastball. He's not as fast as he used to be. Just this is more of a volume play. I think he's going to get some touches.
Yeah, I like that pick. My combination pick. This is a pick. I'm 2-0 on these kind of picks, I guess. So Matt Ryan under 243.5 passing yards. They're going against the Chiefs this week. Interesting line. Chiefs are only favored by 5.5. The Colts just got shut out against the Jaguars. So
why is that the line? That's another thing where it's like, why is that the line?
I thought about making it a pick. Colts plus 5.5. I could not even get myself to do it. That's crazy. I don't understand that. But I'm looking at time of possession being heavy in the Chiefs' favor here. I like them to control this game. I don't like Matt Ryan to make a lot of big plays here because he's shown an inability to do that, I guess, with the Colts. This is one where I'm going to need to see something different. So under 243.5 pass yards. I've hit the under on Aaron Rodgers. I've hit the under on Tom Brady. And now I'm going with another old quarterback who is not nearly as good as Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, but why not? Under on Matt Ryan's passing yards in week 3.
Yeah, seems a little high at 243 in my opinion.
Yeah, and again, big play threats. Can he make it? I have no idea. Against Kansas City, he's going to be tested. They're going to want him to make it. So if he makes, he's going to need a big play. If it happens, sure, whatever he hits. But it's only the combination lock. So let's get into something that we like a little bit more, and that's the deadbolts.
Yep. Actually, deadbolt. I can't believe I'm riding a Jets player. I don't know if I've ever ridden a Jets player on a lock like this. But the line is out on Breece Hall at 27.5 rush yards. I know there's a committee there, and I know Joe Flacco's hot. This Jets offense, low-key, has weapons.
It does.
It does. They have a lot of options.
Loaded.
Like 27.5, that is not a high line. He's going to get volume. They love me, you, them. I think all of us love the way that Breece Hall looked just eye test-wise last week. He looked fast. He looked big and strong. like for his size, he moves really, really well. And so I love Breece Hall over 27.5 rush yards. They're excited about him. I don't see why they don't give him a few more touches. It's not like they're hoping that Michael Carter is taking over this backfield. Like they're deep down, they're like, Breece Hall, we would love for him to be like our piece, So Breece Hall gets schemed the ball a little bit more this week. And I like him over 27.5 rush yards.
Yeah, that number definitely seems low. We're going with my deadbolt. Kind of a homer pick here. And by homer, I mean he's a guy I was targeting in fantasy. So I know I like this guy. Jalen Waddle over 62.5 receiving yards. Am I maybe blinded by rose-colored glasses? I think that's the saying. Potentially. That's potentially the case here.
What's that mean?
I think that means you look at is rose-colored glasses. I think you look at everything positively. You don't see the negative at all. So I'm seeing Jalen Waddle. I'm seeing one of the best receivers in the league, and I'm seeing that because he's on my fantasy team. Yeah. But with that being said, we're looking at a shootout in Miami. Jalen Waddle, he gets heavy targets. I like him to get to 62.5 yards. I also like receptions. That line has not come out yet. We may be doing some sort of double dip. Make sure you follow at Stay Hot Ty on Twitter for the picks that will be out Sunday morning. If there's any ads, as Than was talking about, he gave you an extra Mortis last week. Watch out for Waddle's receptions. That might be a play for me as well. But 62.5 receiving yards. We're going shootout. He could get this in one catch. Why not?
Yeah, he really could. Good pick, Ty. I like it. Let's keep riding Tua a little bit. He's hot. Let's see what the Dolphins can do. And at the end of the day, they're going to be trying to pass the ball against the Bills, like if they're down, especially as underdogs.
Yeah, I think this is where I get nervous as the weeks go on because you have stuff to look at, whereas obviously early on you're just going off some sort of assumptions and feelings. Waddle, I think, has cleared that number pretty easy both weeks, and my Mortis lock, my player, has cleared this both weeks. I'm going Clyde Edwards-Helaire over 2.5 receptions. He had 4, I think, last week, and week 1 he had 2 receiving touchdowns alone. So, again, thought being here, going against a Colts team, I see them controlling the clock, controlling the possession. I like screen passes in this scenario. Those are usually, you obviously run the handoff to keep the clock moving. Screen passes are pretty easy completions. I just like him as that threat and as a dump down option. A theory going into the season without Tyreek Hill there, the ball's getting spread around a little bit more. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been a good player to be picking up some of that action. I like him over 2.5 receptions.
That's interesting. I didn't know that he was getting the ball a lot out of the backfield.
Yeah, he gets looked at. Those red zone ones have been pretty interesting. It's kind of like him coming across the front and Mahomes doing his little shovel pass. But yeah, he's getting targets. He's getting the ball in the pass game, which kind of makes sense as a little guy. As a running back, you reach so high on in a draft. You don't love him going between the tackles pretty often. So the carries are getting split, but you still know he's dynamic, want to get him the ball. So the reception game.
Yep. All right. Time for my Mortis.
Pay attention. Wake up, everybody. Lock in.
Wake up. This pick I'm loving. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a Thursday night football pick.
Uh-oh.
This week, the Steelers play on Thursday night. And I'm actually going to quick dedicate this Mortis to one of the best listeners we have on this podcast. Very, very loyal. Even gave us some suggestions. We'll be the first to throw in some questions for us as a listener. My boy Alex Diaz, back at home, and his little boy Enzo. This one's for you guys. George Pickens from Pittsburgh is going over 28.5 receiving yards on Thursday. Book it. Mitch Trubisky said in an interview that he needs to get the ball more to George Pickens. He's had the targets. He's had the snap count. He has opportunity. George Pickens finally puts it together for Alex Diaz and Enzo Diaz this Thursday. Put the house on it. You won't be disappointed.
He was a lot of people's offensive rookie of the year pick.
Yeah, he was a lot of
people were loving his preseason, and he hasn't stood out weeks 1 and 2. Love this pick.
Thank you.
He's got to show up. He's going to show up. Thursday night pick. let me tease the listeners, maybe that could open up a Sunday Mortis.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, just like last week, I didn't put the Mortis, the final Mortis until Sunday. So honestly, if we keep loving these lines, like if I keep loving Thursday night lines, then Sunday night lines will also have a Mortis. So hopefully we can have 2 Mortises a week. Keep an eye on the Twitter for the second Mortis and the second combo Deadbolt that'll be a Sunday morning tweet.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this week's episode of Profits. We just gave you a lot of winners. I'd love for people to reach out and maybe just a thank you. I mean, we're putting money in people's pockets. We're doing it for free. A lot of people charge a lot of money for this sort of thing. Yeah. So like, subscribe, comment, and tail the picks.
Taylor picks. Yep. Good luck, everybody.
Oh,
good job, Ty.
That was a good one.
So now I have to sing.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. All right, everybody. As you know, I lost the bet to Ty last week. Bears versus Packers. Bears lost. Bet was I have to sing the first minute of a song of his choice. He has chosen Unsteady by X Ambassadors, a lot of high notes. There's no other way to attack it than to just try as hard as I can to hit every note. I'm a man of my word. I'm excited to do this. Could not be more embarrassed about wearing this jersey. I literally have never worn a Packers jersey in my life. Ty, congrats. You got it on me. This will be the longest minute of my life, but here we go. Oh, hold on to me, 'cause I'm a little unsteady, a little unsteady. Oh, hold on to me, 'cause I'm a little unsteady, a little unsteady. Mama, come here. Oh, coach, I'm here. And Daddy, I'm home. This house don't feel like home. There we go. Congrats on the back time.
Oh, we weren't recording. No, I'm just kidding.